Namaste everyone, I'm Khakendra Pun, the author of the book From the Top of Mount Everest to the Winding Streets of New York City, and my other memoir titled Inevitable Dreams. Well, I'm just about getting ready to attend a private event known as Microsoft Garage in downtown Manhattan, invited by Andrea, who was in my cabbie one night and who bought a copy of my book and who asked me to come and give a little share a story about my life, how I got to this part. So please take a look at the video that was captured during my sharing the story.
Sells his books out of his cab. He was my cab driver one night, and I love what he's doing. All of his book proceeds are going towards building a medical clinic in Nepal. We hope to join you to help you build that clinic. So I just wanted him to join us tonight. He's got his books out on the table, but just tell us a little bit about your mission.
Sure. I truly like to thank you to Andrea, who I called an angel. I was driving my cab, looking for customers, couldn't find any customers, so boom! She came into my cabbie and I told her about my journey writing my book as a cab driver, and here I am. And first of all, I just wanted to say to everybody, everyone who's been here, thank you for coming here, and thank you for your spirit inviting me to be here through her. So I call her an angel. I realize in life, for every one of us, it takes one person to change the whole world. One. So I'll prove that and I'll verify that statement what I just said. 30 years ago, I was in a small village in Nepal. I'm from a small mountain village in Nepal called Ulleri. And when I was a very little boy, my mother couldn't afford to buy me a pen to write. So I struggled writing with a piece of stone on a charcoal board that my brother painted in as dark as he could. So that was my beginning journey of my life. My parents never were able to go to schools. So did my brothers and sisters. They never got a chance. So from the very early days of my life, I was inspired to get my education. And then when I saw so many Western tourists coming through our village, realizing that I never had a pen to write, so I began my journey by asking pen and pencils to all the Western tourists that came by. And many of them would give me pens and pencils, and I was inspired. Then one day when I found out that a tourist who gave me a pen when I asked with my funky language in English saying, from where? And the person said, from America. When I heard that word America, then I asked her, where is America? Where? And she said, over there in the mountain, over way out there. I said, really? I looked, and I don't see anything, right? I said, whoa, I see. It's way out there somewhere. That moment, I dreamed about going to America. I was 10 years old. So here I am, my mother unable to buy me a pen to write, but yet I was dreaming. My older brother, who finished 7th grade, got a house cleaning job in Kathmandu, realizing that I would be back on the ground with no future. He brought me to Kathmandu and educated me in 3 different boarding schools. When I got that opportunity, I just fought with my life. I said, I gotta make my future. So I kept, ever since the day I left the village, I started writing my journal. I started writing my stories, missing home, the village life, the simple life, and my life as the humblest and simple person as I was. But I still had that dream that I want to come to America. So, the year 1990, I just finished my 10th grade of my high school. I went back to the village for one of my cousins, waiting on the way further up from our village on the trail. While all my relatives and my friends and everybody were passing by, I see a couple sitting on a resting place on a pathway, just enjoying the beautiful weather in the silence of the mountain, with all the rhododendron trees blooming and the birds humming and all this beautiful nature of life. Then I said, well, I can't let this moment go by. So I decided to become friend, and I just went in front of them, introduced myself, became friend. I knew in this life, all I need is one person, one human being to change my life. So I had to believe that and I had to manifest that. So I became friend, A week later, I met with them in Kathmandu and became friends. I told him my dream that I want to come to America and get my education and help the people back in the village. And he came to America. I didn't hear from him. He said he was going to write me a letter. He said his mother is a teacher in high school in California. But for 4 months, I didn't hear from him. Suddenly, I got a letter one day. That the letter was from his mother. My friend name is Steve Wright, and so his mother, Judith Wright, who's now in Virginia, she heard about my dream, and suddenly she did everything she could, and she sponsored me to go to high school in California. One moment changed everything. And here I am. So 27 years later, after I came to America, realizing I was making $4.25 per hour just to survive, realizing this in this lifetime, it would take 125 years for me to be able to buy a little house with a minimum wage of $4.25. I said, this life is not working. I woke up one morning sleeping in my car for 7 years while I was writing my journal every day. 34 notebooks I hand wrote every day while missing home, and unable to get my green card for 10, 12 years. I was trying and trying. But so ever since the 1998, I decided, I woke up one morning inside my car, 1974 Volkswagen, and I decided that I heard something saying, you need to write a book about your life from your heart. And for the rest of your life, you got to keep moving and sell your book and you'll be just fine. I heard that, and that's what I've been doing. 27 years I've been on the road with this book. Since 1998, I've been selling one by one. So about 14,000 people, like all of you people like Andrea, who bought my books and kept me alive and keep me going while I was probably homeless almost 7 years. So this is actually the story of my life. 3 decades of my life, doing 77 different jobs, trying to survive in America, living in 94 different addresses just to get by. Still today, I sleep on a living room floor just to make my life simple. And so this is how I have been able to make my life. But then here's 10 years ago when I came to New York, in the midst of when everything went wrong in my life, I became a cab driver and decided to write my new book, which is my fourth book. And this is about my life as a cab driver. And so today, what I'm doing to try to introduce myself and let the world know is that it's been over 3 decades of my life, my struggle, just trying to continue my spiritual journey to help the people back in the village. My goal is not for me to help the people in the village. Not me, I'm not the only one here to survive and be good to myself. No, my purpose in this life is to make change, just like someone changed my life. If Andrea didn't live in this life, I would never be here, my friends. And if she wasn't here, I would never meet all these amazing people here tonight. How about that? Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
I mean, one person. People don't realize life, They say, who is this person? Doesn't matter. One person, all it takes is one person to change every one of his life. I'm sure every one of you here have made somebody's life change forever that we might not even know, just like she's doing to me. So I truly appreciate my friends. So my dream now is I'm trying to build a little health clinic, self-sustainable health clinic, trying to raise $20,000 in the last 3 years since my nonprofit foundation has been approved. Now that's my goal right now, trying to raise $20,000 to do the whole medical clinic. And we already have the land, the village is provided. So that's why I'm so glad to be here to introduce myself, and I appreciate every one of you, and we would appreciate if you'd like to take my great books at the end. So thank you so much, everybody, and I appreciate thank
you. And he's an amazing flute player, but we're gonna do that after. We're gonna get this party started with our speakers. So okay, thank you for joining us. He's amazing. I mean, talk about like one person to change the world. He's gonna do that.
Congratulations. Here are some of the great people who bought some copies of my books to support for Ulleri Foundation, and please enjoy some memories of the great people from this event. And here the most important thing about life is we all take a journey in different ways, and we all, despite our differences in life, at the end, if you think about it, we all live in one world. And if people wants to create wars and all this, the country is divided, the world is divided. But at the end, I'm just thinking to myself, well, my friends, if you just open up your third eyes and your third mind, the world we live is in one place. We all live in a little earth, and despite where we're from, we all live in one world. That means if we learn to nurture and respect one another and take care of one another, be more kind to uplift humanity, that's all that matters in this lifetime. So my goal here is, after taking over almost 3 decades of my life as an independent writer, seeing the world full of greed and selfishness, my whole plan and my whole destiny is to create the joy between me and my other people with kindness and love and compassion.